Hello, hello. Second paragraph of the essay. First paragraph of the body. Probably the most important part of the essay, the body. We got the intro. I mean, that's important for organization, but when you get to like the actual meat of the essay, it's going to be those three paragraphs in the middle, the body. Now, as I said before, the way I am organizing my body of the essay is going to be in chronological order. So I'm just going to talk about the body. The first paragraph of the body, if you remember, is going to be what led up to the genocide. Second paragraph of the body is the actual genocide. What happened? Maybe a little bit of why. You'll see in this second paragraph it's so confusing. The first paragraph of the body, but the second paragraph of the essay, you'll see that I do talk a little bit about the why. And then that third paragraph of the body, you kind of want to wrap things up as far as the genocide goes and talk about the effects after. And then, of course, you have your conclusion, which is always kind of weird to write because you definitely don't want to introduce anything new. It's just like kind of restating your thesis in that conclusion, maybe a few words, not your opinion too much. Well, we're not talking about the conclusion yet. Let's talk about the first paragraph of the body here. I'm going to get rid of me, and then we can see what my intro looks like. If you haven't seen the lesson on that, that's available. But let's talk about and this is a rough draft as usual. So there could be some mistakes as we go along, but you want a pretty good transition into your next paragraph. You always want a pretty good transition right there, just to go from one area of thinking to the next if it's well organized. So I have a while, which is not like the best transition ever, but I think it works for this first sentence. While the worst of the killings happened in the early 1980s, I mentioned that up here, the genocide actually began much earlier than that. So I think this is a pretty good transitional sentence, even though there isn't like that typical transition there, like first or to start with or something like that. The indigenous people of Guatemala, the Mayans, and you notice how I have that separated with commas because basically the indigenous people of Guatemala and the Mayans, they're the same people. We call that an appositive. Were never exactly treated fairly by the Guatemalan government. The Mayans were the people living in the area before the Spanish arrived in the 1500s and were always subjected to harsh treatment by the modern government. When the Guatemalan War began in the 1960s, they were the natural scapegoats. And that I think, is a good term to use when talking about genocide. You might want to put that somewhere in your essay. There's always someone to blame. Right there, we got scapegoats due to their already perceived lower class status. The genocide began with disappearances, but quickly progressed into something way more sinister. All right, so that is my paragraph on just starting the genocide. Obviously, that next paragraph, I'm going to get into the nitty gritty of the genocide, and then probably talk about how Guatemalans are, the victims of the genocide, family members, the survivors, are treated today. And I was doing a lot of research and found that because this genocide happened in so recently, there are actually a lot of video accounts of what people saw and the survivors and all that stuff. So not a very fun thing to talk about, but one thing that we should talk about so it doesn't happen again, or it doesn't happen as often, because it's going on in the world right now. Nobody has decided. I don't think anybody has decided to do the Rohingya Muslim genocide that might be going on right now in Myanmar. But there's probably, and then maybe who knows what's going on in Ukraine. A lot of this stuff comes out after. All right, rest of the time will be to work on that essay. Let me know if you need any help.